Hi folks, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm cooking with Colleen, a generous grandma who, while researching her unknown past, discovered a connection to her Mennonite background. So we'll be baking a recipe passed down to her from over 150 years ago and has given her a link to a family she never knew. My name is Polly. Growing up, my family didn't spend much time cooking together, and I never inherited a cookbook of time-honored recipes. So I'm on a mission to meet everyday people from the community and learn the amazing stories behind their cherished recipes in order to build a cookbook that one day I can pass on. Welcome to Generation Kitchen.
At 22 months of age, I was orphaned. I became a Crown Ward at 22 months of age and got to live in many homes. At the age of 17, after living in different homes, was where the adventure began. I knew that from my birth certificate that it says Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I was born, so that gave me an area to look. I found a bunch of relatives, which led me to a cemetery, which led me to an obituary, which opened up a huge Mennonite family out through Manitoba. I went out to Manitoba and met them, and since then, through questions and answers and research and them sharing recipes and techniques with me, I'm learning my heritage. The recipe is called Rhubarb Platz, and it is a rhubarb butter Mennonite cake. First thing we need to do is get the rhubarb cut.
Now, how big are we gonna cut?
Most of the time it depends on the size of the rhubarb. This is just medium size. So you cut it in pieces like that and try to make them all even throughout the whole cake so they don't cook, some hard, some not.
Okay, so you just want them all to cook evenly.
Yeah.
Where did this recipe come from in your story?
The recipe itself has come from one of my closest girlfriends.
Okay.
It is a Mennonite recipe.
How old is the recipe, do you know?
She said that she remembers her great-grandmother making it.
Wow.
So 150 plus years old. The nice thing about this recipe too, because it is so old in its nature, hundreds of years ago, we wouldn't have had mixers and blenders and food processors. The whole thing is done by hand.
Oh, wow.
So it's also fun for children.
I used to love mixing cookies as a kid. I'm sure this will be the same.
Oh yeah, because they get their hands right into it.
Exactly,
Which
yeah.
We've always, in my house, if a child has helped you with a recipe, the warning to others when they go to eat it, this recipe was made with love. And that's a warning to others that the children have had their hands in it.
All right, so we've got the sugar.
We're gonna just pour it on top.
Okay.
And just mix it together, just so it's evenly coated. Yeah, it's just so that the middle layer of the cake has some sweetness mixed with the tart. So you get your sweet and sour combination. The bottom, as with any recipe, it's all the dry ingredients go together first. And again, all by hand.
Okay.
So we flour and put it in. This is sugar, goes in.
Perfect.
This is baking powder. This is salt.
Okay.
The purpose behind salt in most baking is to intensify what you already have. So if you put salt with chocolate, it will make the chocolate even taste stronger.
Oh, wow.
So salt will increase
That kind of contrast.
Yeah, it seems to sharpen it.
Very interesting.
But it still tastes good without it too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. Milk. Perfect.
Now you can use salted butter or unsalted butter. Traditionally on a farm it would probably be unsalted butter.
Okay.
But in today's world sometimes unsalted butter is more expensive, so it's really what you want.
Your granddaughter's here with us today. Have you been teaching her how to make it?
Yes.
Yeah? And what's that process like? Do you enjoy teaching people to cook?
Yeah, yes. I don't view cooking as a hobby. I view cooking as a life skill because we all have to eat.
What's this about a raw soup company I hear?
I am the kitchen manager for a small local registered charity called the Raw Carrot Soup Company. And my job there is I work with disabled adults and teach them cooking and chopping skills. We work on getting our safe food handlers certificates, thereby taking what some people deem to be unemployable people, teach them enough skills that they're not only more confident, but employable.
That's wonderful.
As you can see, it is about the consistency of pizza dough.
Yeah.
Very sticky, very thick.
And that's what you want it to
That's
look
what you want, right. So pretty much I've been using a fork because I'm squishing the butter through to make sure that it's all combined.
And that's why you want soft butter.
Yes, yeah, don't use right out of the refrigerator. Oh,
Yeah.
and don't use melted butter either.
Okay, why not melted butter?
It won't turn this thick.
Oh, because it's a liquid now?
I think so. I think so. I've tried it before when I forgot to take it out of the fridge. Just didn't work out quite the way I wanted it to. Yeah, so that would be the bottom layer.
Perfect. Are we gonna put that in now?
Well, first thing we do is we get our oven-safe pan. I prefer glass. I found with this recipe, because of the butter that's throughout most of this recipe, for some reason the glass will make it browner. If you use a metal pan, it tends to not be as brown. You should take it and put it in balls.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah. What are we gonna do once we put all the balls in?
We're gonna pat it down and try to cover the bottom of this pan.
Okay.
But you can see it's so thick that if I do this, all of it will shift. So I kind of just sort of pat and poke at the same time.
Because it's not sticking to the bottom now,
Right.
which is good.
Yeah. You could try filling in some of my corners that I'm missing. See how sticky it is?
Yeah, oh my gosh. All right, so what is next?
We need to take the rhubarb that we mixed with the sugar
Okay,
and we pour it on top. You can do it if you like.
okay.
It's just evenly,
The rhubarb's gone, or the sugar rather, has gone a bit soft, yeah?
yeah, it's dissolved somewhat. And we need our third bowl,
Okay.
and this would be the topping.
So we've got flour
I believe it's 1 cup flour. Again, I'm going with my memory.
and sugar
And back to the butter again.
and more butter. All right.
In the modern world, we would use one of these.
Oh, wow.
And just do this and stab until it starts to combine. What I've been teaching my granddaughter to do, because here's the old-fashioned way now, is you take a knife, put it between your fingers, take another knife, put it between your fingers, and you don't need a pastry cutter anymore.
Oh, wow.
You're chopping it with 2 different butter knives. Again, this is going back old, because way back then they wouldn't have had a pastry cutter.
Right. And
So-
like you say, they use whatever they have.
Right. And when you have children help you with this stage, because of the flour, the more they do this, the more flour you get on the counter.
Thank you.
It is tricky, but once you figure out where your fingers are and hold on to it tight enough, you can start chopping it in.
Oh gosh, okay.
What we're trying to do is get the butter, the flour, and the sugar to come out like, they look like little balls.
Okay.
Like, it's a topping, it's a crumble, so it's not going to come together.
Okay. So it should look crumbly.
Yeah. So now that you've got a handle on the old way, you can go back to the pastry cutter.
Okay.
Kind of give it a bit of a twist and a squish at the same time.
Okay.
And now what
Twist.
you say is a lot faster.
This is way faster. So now we're gonna put the topping on, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And you just pour it on?
I'll do part of it to show you how, because we don't want to pack it down.
Okay.
I'll show you a bit with my hands. Normally I wouldn't put my hands in it because that's just not a great thing to do. But you see how it's all crumbly and flaky in my hands right now, and there's butter and flour? If I was to squish it together, there, I get a bit of a compacted lump like a dough. You
Right.
don't want that,
Okay.
because we just finished spending all of our free time crumbling it up. So we don't want to, there's no patting or packing.
Okay.
It's a crumble.
right away.
So it's very, very loose.
Right. Just sprinkle it all on top.
Go for it.
Okay.
And just even. That's the whole trick, is just an even amount all over the place. Now, if you're like my granddaughter and you find that you like the topping is your favorite part, you can do 1.5 times the topping, but have the regular amounts of the other 2 layers if you like.
So how long does this go in the oven for, and how hot?
In a glass pan, I put it in at 325.
Okay.
It depends on your oven. Everybody's oven is slightly off. So I say between 30 and 50 minutes. So I usually set a timer for 30 minutes and I check it. You'll know that it's done when you see the rhubarb will be almost bubbling because it's cooking.
Okay.
So you'll see bubbles coming around the sides,
Oh.
and the top will be a golden brown. Okie dokie. It's important for all of us to know where did we come from and to not only learn but remember lessons learned in life. Cooking has taught me to take the simplest of ingredients and make something with them. Not only does it represent my culture, but it represents a family that I really don't have. It's giving me an emotional feeling of not only togetherness, but I feel that I'm even more a part of them if I can bring in some of their cultural recipes and traditions, because it represents a gap in my life that I'm now learning.
This looks amazing. Are you ready to eat it?
Sure.
So who is tasting it with us today? Who did you bring with you?
I have my granddaughter, Violet.
All right, let's bring Violet in. Hey, you want to come up on this box? Perfect. Amazing. All right, let's get tasting.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. That's really good. You gonna dig in with me? Come on.
Tastes just like home.
Good. This also makes a really healthy and happy breakfast.
Perfect. Colleen's rhubarb butter cake was the perfect combination of tart and sweet. Maybe a little like life can be sometimes. It made me think about how food plays such an important part in who we are as people. Finding the right recipe can add a dimension to you, how you see yourself, and even fill a gap in your life you never thought possible.